This Amateur Radio Roundtable is brought to you in part by Icom America. Well, hello out there to everybody tonight. What is this? This is Tuesday, April the 4th, I think. Yeah, April the 4th. Man, the months are just flying, man. But hey, we're going to be at the big Ham Fest here pretty soon. We're about 6 weeks out, so we're going to see most of you guys up at Dayton here in a few weeks. So first, I want to welcome everybody out there who's listening on WBCQ, world famous international shortwave station on 5130 kilohertz tonight. We got Lord Robert up there taking care of us and working the audio. I've seen Lord Robert's dropped off a time or two, so you guys take care of him in the chat room here. He does a great job for us. So we're on shortwave on 5130 kilohertz. If you're listening on shortwave tonight and you'd like to join us on the video, you can join us if you have a computer and internet. You can join us at w5kub.com, w5kub.com, and you can watch the video, and we have a chat room there. You can ask questions. Let's join in with everybody else that's in the room tonight. We'd like to also invite everyone out there, shortwave listeners and ham radio operators, and whoever else might be watching tonight. Join our Facebook group. There's a link in the menu above at the top of our website called Facebook and Twitter. Click on that and join our Facebook group. It's a great group. We've got nearly 6,000 people in it now, and it's just a good place to learn about what's coming on the show and what things we do here on the show. It's a good ham radio place to post your shack pictures and talk ham radio, and we have a good time on there. And that reminds me, send me your shack pictures. We have a little segment called Shack Pictures, and every week or so we will show your shack pictures from your ham radio shack, and let everybody see what you've got there. So I think we got a real exciting night tonight. We've got two segments that I'm really excited about. One is going to be talking about a new FCC band that's coming up for us. Really interested in that. And then I'm going to introduce someone to you that we're bringing on the show. It's going to have some regular parts on the show here, and we hope to bring you a lot of new stuff. So let me get into the show. Let me go out to, I think it's Duncanville, Texas. Let's see, here we go. I think we're out in Duncanville, Texas now with John Langridge, KB5NJD. Hello, John. How you doing, man?
Good evening, Tom. Thank you for having me.
Well, glad to have you. Glad to have you. And you know what? This is I need to get closer to the mic. I know, boy. This is going to be an interesting show here because we're going to talk about something it's ham radio, but it's not going to be one of these things where you go out and just order you an HT or something off the internet and get on the air. You're going to have to work a little bit to do this. So let's do this, John. Let's talk about the new ham bands coming up. There was an FCC order or something. Tell us about it. What's going on?
Well, this is actually the exciting culmination of probably at least 20 years of work of a lot of individuals and groups to bring about amateur bands on the 630 meter and 2200 meter band. Last Thursday we had the surprise of the FCC finally releasing the report and order to which is essentially the rules for these bands to bring them into existence and how they'll be administered under Part 97.
All right, and hey, when's this going to happen? When can we all jump on this band?
Well, the first thing I'm going to say is I've answered a lot of emails about this and over the last weekend, and so the one thing I'll tell everybody is just stand by and hang on. There are a couple of things that have to happen. While the report and order has been issued, the Office of Management and Budget have to sign off, give their blessing. They've already given a blessing for a pre-estimate on what it will cost. There will be a coordination period with the Utilities Telecom Council, which is the organization that manages power line carrier systems that control power systems along the utility systems, if you will, that we could potentially coincide with in frequency. This is a sharing arrangement, so we're allowed to coexist with these other utility providers here around the U.S. But we have to notify them of our intent to operate there. We have to give them 30 days if they want to file an objection before the process begins. So that process of how we will notify them is currently being worked out. And then, of course, we have to wait on the publication in the Federal Registry. The Federal Register that will require it to be there for 30 days. The reality of the situation is it could all happen simultaneously, or it could happen in steps. So I can tell you this: my Part 5 grant on 630 meters runs out on September 1st of 2018, so it better be done before that.
Oh, okay. Now, there we go. So, actually, the order, I think we get 2 new bands, don't we?
That's correct. 630 meters and 2200 meters.
Yeah. Well, I think let's focus mostly on 630 tonight.
Okay.
Because I think the 2200 is going to be even tougher to get on. I don't know.
Well, actually, one of the things that I would argue is that if someone's actually going to find success on 2200 meters, they're really going to have to go through 630 meters to get there. Part of that has to do with the fact that it really is they're both really very challenging bands. And so if you can't get it right at 630 meters, the chances of you getting it right at 2200 meters are probably pretty small. So, but yeah, 630 meters has really become my bread and butter over the last 5 or so years that I've been active on that band as a Part 5 station, and I've had some of the greatest experiences of my 30-year ham career.
So the 630 meter band, that's 472 to 479 kilohertz. So that's just right below the AM broadcast band. And you know, you think, well, hey, these AM broadcast stations, they're heard when I say long distances, at night I know they can be heard at long distances, but I'm sure they're pumping out some power too. What's going to be the power restrictions on this 630 meter band?
Well, this has been one of the sticking points for a lot of people. We're going to be limited to 5 watts EIRP, which is effective isotropic radiating power, and it's basically referenced to directional power referenced to an isotropic antenna. That basically translates to 3 watts ERP. Now, to put this into some sort of perspective, the first year and a half that I was on 630 meters, I operated at 1 watt ERP, which is 1.64 watts EIRP. And I was heard in Europe and Australia and coast to coast around the U.S. I made RLCW QSOs on a regular basis as well as JT9. So while there are a lot of people that are really concerned about this very low level of permitted power, it's not the impedance that a lot of people tend to believe it is.
Well, you know, I'm used to in the ham bands that I've always worked, and I've been a ham for over 50 years. Is, you know, you take a certain amount of power, 100 watts, and you get maybe 3 dB gain out there, and now you got 200 watts effective radiated power. You know, I'm used to things going up, but in this band, things work backwards, it seems like to me. You can run, to get that 5 watts, you can run, maybe 500 watts input to get that 5 watts EIRP?
Well, that's correct. In fact, the FCC has specified in the report and order that we'll be permitted to put up to 500 watts of power onto the antenna to achieve the 5 watts EIRP, and it's whichever comes first. Is really the situation. The reality is that the antenna efficiencies are probably somewhere in the 1 to 5% range for most people that are on the air at the moment. And of course, you're dealing with you could be dealing with significantly smaller antennas, But as we may see here in a bit, I think you have an image if you're able to pull it up. One of the experiments that I did a couple of years ago involved an 8-foot tall antenna on 630 meters that was base loaded. There was no additional top loading. I placed 100 watts onto it, and using Whisper to evaluate it, I was heard into the Northeast and Midwest at levels that would be consistent with working JT9. So
now, I'm looking for the antenna. This wouldn't be it, would it?
that would be it right there.
Okay.
In fact,
It looks like the coil's about as big as the antenna.
yeah, exactly. In fact, the coil is wound on a 5-gallon bucket. It's actually a variometer, so there's a movable coil. You can see the shaft sticking out of the main bucket coil. Yeah. And again, this is 8 feet tall, and this right here is actually the ATU for my main antenna. It's actually the original version of the ATU.
I guess that's showing your variometer. Is that the coupling that you use to couple, right?
That's correct. Okay. And I actually use an Archer antenna rotator to turn it from the shack, and I do use some series some capacitance. Some shunt capacitance with a motorized cap that's actually not viewed in this early picture to control my impedance, my resistor portion of my impedance to find 50 ohms. But the bottom line is, with that 8-foot antenna that you saw in that picture, I was able to find some degree of success. So I think people have to have a reasonable level of success, or what success really is whenever they embark on this. With my 80-foot tall asymmetric T antenna, it sits over 15,000 feet of radials, and I can be heard around the world using that particular approach. And there are a number of other individuals that have equally good or even better systems on the air that have very good DX success night in, night out.
Well, okay. Well, John, I'm running the show basically by myself here tonight. Kathy's not here, my producer. Let me see if she's in the chat room. I don't even see her in the chat room. They're having a good time off in North Carolina right now. So I basically forgot. I was going to give kind of a little intro to you. Let me just tell the people out there a little about you, and then we'll jump right back into this. I think you're a big operator, 9-band DXCC. John has DXCC mixed on phone and CW, 5-band WAC. I think extra class license back in '89. Let's see, he's got a general radio telephone operator's license with the radar endorsement, and I got one of those. It used to be called the first class. Did you get yours when it was first class, or after they changed the name?
No, sir. I got it back in 2005, okay. And I got the second class radio telegraph at the same time. Okay,
cool. But yeah, that's a neat license. The general radio telephone license with ship radar endorsement. And I got the ship radar endorsement, but I've never seen a ship radar. Okay, so that's another thing. Okay, let's say you're currently working on your PhD in physical chemistry, or whatever that is. And let's see, your current passion, of course, we're getting into it, 630 meters here. And I'm thinking, what can anybody do on 630 meters? But we've kind of started talking about that, and let's jump into it now. I understand that your station, your 630 meter station, has actually been received in Australia. Is that right?
Yeah, well, there are stations that are currently in Australia that one station in particular has been doing really good work getting being heard here in North America, and of course I'm heard on a semi-regular basis. And then there are guys like K5DNL up in Oklahoma, or K7PO out in Arizona that kind of turned it into a nightly affair here in the last year or so. We've had very good long haul propagation to Asia and Australia during these recent seasonal changes. The transatlantic openings, on the other hand, have tailed off a bit. Most of that has to do with recent geomagnetic activity, but we had been seeing some really hot openings. For whatever reason, we don't seem to see both of those openings correspond with one another.
Well, I guess WSPR is probably a pretty common mode to track this.
Yeah, Whisper is what I refer to as a filler mode. Okay, it's essentially what we put on the air when we're not sitting in front of our stations actively operating. And what that basically means, normally when I'd be sitting here talking to you, I had every intention of being on the air. There were a few storms in the area tonight, so I went ahead and secured the station earlier today so that I wouldn't be worried while we were doing this interview and discussion. But yeah, I might leave that on the air overnight, and what that gives me is a numeric, a quantitative value for signal to noise, and it gives data for the propagation guys, as well as provides a significant amount of information about openings and potential openings that may be available on the band. It's also been a fantastic marketing tool for 630 meters. We saw the highest totals that we've ever had of 150 stations on the band, which exceeded or even rivaled a lot of other HF bands this past winter. So there's a tremendous amount of activity, and we have a number of operators coming from a number of different venues. The ARRL has a couple of guys that are active. We have a very large number of independent Part 5 experimental stations here in the U.S. And Canada has been very active, particularly the British Columbia area. Australia has a very large contingent of guys, as does Europe and Asia. So this has grown by leaps and bounds over just a couple of years.
So tell me about some of the test equipment you might need if you're thinking about doing this.
Well, the first thing that I would say that someone would probably need to get a station together would be a good analyzer that works at these frequencies. I use the Rig Expert, one of the versions, I think it's the AA50. It goes down to 100 kilohertz, and it gives me what I would say very consistent data over a wide range of load impedances. Prior to that, I was using a modified MFJ 259B, and I actually have some information on my website to help individuals that may want to go through the process of modifying one of those to help them get on the air. It's a fairly straightforward mod, but it's really necessary to try to get the initial setup.
Does it require any special calibration or anything, or is it a pretty simple mod?
Well, it's a simple mod. I certainly recommend you test it against known loads to verify your data. For example, with my MFJ analyzer, whenever I was at the zero reactance point, it actually read 6 ohms of reactance. So you kind of have to watch out for things like that. But as long as you stay near 50 ohms, it was relatively accurate. And as you moved away from the 50 ohm point, you got into trouble. Another thing that can be very helpful, a tool that I tend to use in lieu of an SWR meter for normal operation, is what's known as the scope match, and this requires a 2-channel scope using a small homebrew
little coupler
monitor. Right, a little coupler. It's gonna measure the current on the feed line leaving the low pass filter, and measure the voltage on the conductor and display on each channel.
Have I got the right picture up here?
Yes, sir. Okay. You sure do. The top waveform is the voltage, and the bottom waveform is the current. And we're essentially what we're looking for is equal magnitude and equal phase for the particular monitor that I'm using. It's referenced to 50 ohms. So essentially, in this particular case, both of the waveforms are separate, but I tune for a single waveform. It looks like a single sine wave, and superimpose each one of them over one another. And I have the ability to modify both the resistive portion of the complex impedance and the reactance from the shack with motorized elements at the ATU.
Well, that's great that you're starting to use this. We were taught the capacitive and inductive aspects, characteristics of a circuit, many years ago, but I've never really put that into real practical use. But it seems like maybe with the 630 meter band, you might need to actually know this, and this will help you. And you know, I put together a little picture here. This is something I was taught, you know, many years ago. Eli the Iceman. Probably a lot of new people don't know what this is. Probably a lot of new people don't even know what an Iceman is. But this is how we used to buy our ice. We'd go down to the ice plant and say, I want 50 pounds of ice, and the guy would go back here and he'd grab it with these hooks right here and bring you 50 pounds of ice out. But that's not the point here. The point here is that's Eli. His name is Eli. Eli the Iceman. And a really easy way to remember about your voltage and current in inductive or capacitive circuits is Eli the Iceman. And if you look right here, the word Eli, the little e, big L for inductance, the E is voltage, the I is current. So you can see the E leads the current in an inductive circuit. And if you look at the one below, the current leads the voltage in a capacitive circuit. So I learned that many years ago, and it's always stuck in my head, and maybe somebody will remember it, you know, from us.
Well, and one of the things that I like about the approach of the scope match is it gives you so much information. It gives you relative information about your resistance, gives you relative information about your phase. And once you're set up, if you just tune for overlapping waveforms, that it essentially looks like a single waveform, you can't go wrong. And in doing so, you maximize your base current at the antenna. And that leads me to the next piece of test equipment that I find to be very useful. In fact, if you can go back to the picture of the ATU with the basically the blue box with the coil, there we go. What you're going to see here on the left-hand side of the coil, on the output side, is a current, essentially a current transformer that samples current and sends it back on a coax back to the shack, where I can display that on a meter. It's just a standard voltmeter, not a thermocouple meter of any type. But what I can essentially do is monitor the base current of the actual current of the actual signal that's being put onto the antenna, and that gives me a lot of information about the health of the system. It also gives me some useful information in if I wanted to make determinations about radiated power, et cetera, et cetera. I typically use this more than anything just to say, do I have a problem or not, and if I'm not, I know where I should be in terms of current, and if I'm not there, then I know that I need to investigate because there may be some kind of problem.
Well, you know, let's talk about this. We're talking small antennas again. I mean, it can be a small antenna. I'm sure there are other bigger antennas, but you know, even at a small antenna and at low power here, you got some pretty high voltages floating around, don't you?
That's true. That's true. And one of the beautiful things about the 8-foot antenna that you're looking at right now is that because it's actually a tube rather than, say, a stinger or whip, we're actually able to distribute a lot of those charges around the surface at the top of the antenna, and that's the reason we're not having any corona shoot off of the top of that. But yes, we're dealing with some very high voltages. That is certainly very potential with short vertical antennas, because you're in many respects you have this is of course the feed point of my primary antenna, the 80-foot asymmetric T. But you do have very high voltages that are possible at the top of the coil and on the antenna. I think in my particular case, I'm sitting somewhere at 3,500 volts while transmitting. And of course, for guys that are using loop antennas, vertically oriented loops are very popular on 2,200 meters. And you have a few guys that are using them on 630 meters. These are current antennas, and they typically have very high currents. In fact, Lawrence Howell up in Anchorage, Kilo Lima 7 Lima, he runs a loop on 2,200 meters that's running it somewhere along the lines of 55 or 60 amps.
Wow. So is this one of the loops you're talking about, the construction here?
Actually, this is the K9AY loop. This is a receive loop. This is not a transmit loop right here. So we would use this, and that is another point that I'd like to make, if you would like to transition to that, is that at these frequencies, much like you would see on the low bands, the 80 and 160 meters, we use typically use separate transmit and receive antennas. The receive antennas oftentimes give us directivity, which improve our signal to noise and allow us to pull signals out of the noise. In fact, we have guys that are running receive antennas that are made out of hula hoops from inside their ham shack. To Eric Tuchansky up in Western PA. He in O3M he operates as WG2XJM. He has an 8-circle array that sits on 30 acres. So it really kind of runs the gamut, and we're going to have all kinds under Part 97 rules.
I guess there are a lot of different antennas. Here's what is this?
This is
rotatable flag. It says.
Yeah, this is Larry's W7IUV's rotatable flag. He's has had very good success with the flag antenna, which is somewhat related to the K9AY loop that we saw earlier, and he's had very good success with that using a rotator. But there are a lot of different opportunities or a lot of different possibilities that one might use on these frequencies. If you may have a picture there of a loop, and this is one that appeared in my CQ column last month of the multi-turn loop on a rotator. There we go. That's one of the receive antennas in my particular arsenal. It's essentially resonated on 630 meters. It uses a separate pickup loop to minimize currents on the feed line that contribute to noise. And then I use a transformer to bring that to the 50 to the 50 ohms.
Are you keeping it hidden down in the trees for any special reason?
Well, I live in an HOA, and but I'm very fortunate. I spent about $8,000 16 years ago fighting. Well, not really fighting them, just getting them to follow their rules, and they did. And so I live in harmony with an HOA.
Wow. Well, hey, let me just jump some pictures. This is a little accident you had. I think you had high current. You told me this is like a Tesla coil almost, high voltages, and looks like your insulator there kind of arced over.
Well, actually, this is a picture from Joe NU60, who operates as WI2XBQ up in Northern California, and he lives waterside where there's a lot of sea spray, and so in this particular case he was using a Delwyn rod for an insulator, and I guess some of the sea spray got across there and fire broke out, and it's very common. Most of us that are on the air have started fires with our systems. It's very common at 2,200 meters. And eventually will happen on 630 meters for most operators. I had a scenario just a couple of years ago where I had a very hot arc breakout on my system that was about 3 inches long. And fortunately, the power supplies recognized an overcurrent position and shut the system down. But there have been some very dangerous situations occur at some stations, so you just have to be careful. Don't put your ATU under the eaves of your house. I'm reminded of a British station just a couple of years ago that burned down part of his house when his ATU caught fire and his antenna, and fortunately they were able to recover, and it was not a total loss.
So what kind of modes can we expect to use on this band?
Well, the report and order pretty much says anything goes. Okay, that includes phone modes, RTTY, CW, image, data. There's a practical side to that, of course, and right now it's essentially all with the Part 5 experimental stations. It's all weak signal modes, so you're looking at narrowband modes. If you're a phone operator and you have aspirations of tearing up the band, then you better invest in a good pair of headphones and plan on listening very carefully. It's going to be, I've never worked weak signal phone. I'm a CW operator, so
Yeah,
that's kind of a new thing for me. I don't know what weak signals on phone really sound like anymore. So it's going to be a real challenge. But for CW operators, for digital operators, JT9 is extremely big. So those will be the type of things that I think you'll see. Just a few nights ago, we had some guys working RTTY and PSK31.
So this band, the 630 meter band, is only 7 kilohertz wide. I can just see a big, powerful AM station in there.
Yeah, and there are some complexities with that because there are already existing allocations, or I should say pass bands that are in there. I can't imagine seeing an AM station pop in just because of the amount of bandwidth that it'll require. But right. One never knows what ends up happening.
Yeah.
There may be some opportunities during daylight hours where gray line is the dominant propagation mode. That maybe that would be better served and certainly not create problems for other users in the band once skywave tends to kick in after dark.
Okay, so let's talk about. I mean, this seems a little difficult. Let's talk about generating a signal and using amplifiers and how can a person get on at first? Get on and simply make some contacts on it, but not invest a whole lot of money.
Well, okay, so generally speaking, this has been a homebrew discipline for so long, but it's an emerging marketplace, and so there are a number of options that have come available over the last couple of years. One outfit that I would recommend, this we're looking at right here, is the Hans Summers Ultimate 3. It's strictly a beaconing platform, but Hans has actually made a very generous deal. You can check him out at hanssummers.com for individuals in commemoration of the report and order for MF and LF.
So that would put you a beacon on to see if you can be heard someplace, right?
That's correct. That's correct. It's essentially built around an Arduino and a DDS, and a low pass filter network, and they're very popular for driving amplifiers.
Here we go. Yeah, would that drive something like this GW3 UEP amp?
Yeah, well, actually, yes, it would. In fact, this particular design amp is one that I use for CW. The particular design you're looking at here has a keying circuit built in that can be seen at the top and the right, which controls the rise and fall time of the signal. But you could certainly remove that circuit and drive this particular circuit, this particular amplifier, using the square wave output of the Ultimate 3 and be able to accomplish Whisper, JT9, QRSS modes, and things like that.
That circuit looks pretty simple. There's not a lot in it.
It really is. In fact, there was a time that I was building this design for a few Part 5 experimental stations. Of course, under Part 97 rules, we have the 15 dB rule. So some enterprising entrepreneur will have to see how they can solve the problem with multiple stages so that they can take low-level signals and bring them up. But one of the things that I can tell you is there's a great transverter on the market, a full transverter that's it's got this one here is a little bit different. We'll talk about that one in just a moment. But the full transverter, being the monitor sensors unit, it generates 60 watts of output. Oh, wow. Using an input and output on 160 meters from 1802 to 1809, and they can be found on monitorsensors.com. And then the picture we were looking at there just a moment ago is the other end of the spectrum. This is the MF Solutions transmit down converter, and this was designed by John Molnar, WA3ETD, who operates his WG2XKA up in Vermont. And this generates about 22 to 24 watts out of Class E signal, so it's good for amplitude and phase stable modes like JT9, Whisper. You could even run some CW on it as well. But it's a very good entry-level product, and it's actually what I use to generate digital modes at my station. The original item that I mentioned, the monitor sensors box, is actually a fully linear transverter. So if you don't know what you want to do, if you think you might want to work linear modes like PSK31 or even some phone, that's going to be the way you have to go. And I think that's a really important point to make, is that your emissions are going to define the type of PA that you're going to use or how you're going to generate a signal. For the guy who has the K3 or the Flex radio or even some of the Kenwood radios, those generate a linear 1 milliwatt signal out of the transverter port, and they can be amplified. But of course, there's nothing currently on the market that you could go out and drop your credit card and buy to give you 100 watts anymore. Like I said, I'm not building those amplifiers anymore. But the information, if someone wanted to build one, all of the information you need to build it in my construction notes are actually listed on my website. On the front page down at the bottom. So don't despair if you have one of those rigs and you want to go that route. It's not an insurmountable task, but you may have to get your hands dirty a little bit. This is certainly not a plug-and-play discipline. It's very much a hands-on, and there's quite a bit of activity that a lot of learning that you can do through the process.
I would think safety would play a big role in this too, because you're doing a lot of home brewing, you're doing a lot of work out around the antennas. I mean, now things are fairly safe in ham radio, but when you get back into the old home brewing, and there's going to be some exposed things out there, and like you've mentioned, there's some high voltages around this thing.
That's exactly right. You're dealing with voltage and current that can kill you. I've seen guys do some crazy things at 20 meters when tuning their antennas. Those types of things would probably get you into trouble at these frequencies. But you just have to use your head, and just like whenever you're working on a tube amplifier, you keep one hand in your pocket. You have to kind of keep that same mentality. When you're dealing with these things, always assume that it's energized, and if you don't take chances, then you're probably going to be okay.
All right. Well, hey, John, this has been exciting, and I think we're not going to be able to cover everything we wanted to cover tonight on this, so we're going to have you back. But let's just talk about maybe some final thoughts you might have, and any recommendations you might have to people that might want to become operators in this band.
Okay, well, very briefly, I would say that I've even had a couple of inquiries about this, about should we go ahead, should guys go ahead and file for their Part 5 experimental license? And I would say right now, just kind of hang out and wait. There are a couple of licenses that are in limbo at the moment, applications, I should say. Let's see what happens with those, and let's see how quickly that this rule and this report and order is actually implemented. Failing that, I would say spend all of your time that you can reading about how to get a station on the air. On the links page on my website, njdtechnologies.net, everything you need to get a station on the air as far as information and learning materials are there to help you be successful. And of course, there's a very large number of operators that are actively on the air right now that are very willing to help people. You just have to ask. And I would say everybody else who's asking, what do we do next? I would say just stand by. The Wireless Telecommunications Bureau is going to come out with the next set of procedures shortly. And until that happens, nothing can occur. Well,
I had already jumped on the bandwagon. I was ready to go out there and apply for the experimenter's license. But, I think you're right. Probably waiting a little while might help. But in the meantime, you can still, use the put a receiving system up and antennas and start seeing who you can hear, and that's going to help you along the way, I think. John, again, you want to give your website out again, or email, or anything, so people that are interested can get in touch with you?
Yeah, sure. It's njdtechnologies.net. November Juliet Delta Technologies plural .net. And I do a daily report on the site. where I talk about the conditions of the previous night. It's very whisper heavy, but as I said earlier, whisper is kind of the filler mode, so that's where we get a lot of data from. But I've got that as well as instructional information. And, like I said, if you have questions, kb5njd@gmail.com, kb5njd@arrl.net. Either one will get you to me. And if I don't know the answer, I can certainly point you in the right direction.
All right, John, thank you very much for coming on here tonight. This is a really interesting subject, man. I love it,
Well, thank you so much. I appreciate the opportunity, Tom.
Yeah. Thanks very much, and we'll say 73 to you, and we're going to go ahead and move on with the next part of the show. But I do want to have you back on again because I got a lot more questions.
It'd be my pleasure.
All right. Good night.
Good night.
All right. So I think that was a very interesting topic there, 630 meter band. And hey, guys, when we get through and we get that working, let's move to the 2200 meter band. That's got to be some antenna for 2200. Wow. All right, well, let's see what's going on here. Everybody just stand by. I got some announcements to make and a few things to do here. Let's see. First of all, you probably noticed tonight when you logged into the website, a pop-up came up. And we don't normally do this, but around Hamvention, we did it last year and we're doing it again this year. We're doing a little fundraiser to try to help pay for the webcast for the Dayton Hamvention in 6 weeks. That Hamvention webcast cost us about $3,000 to $4,000 to put that webcast on. And as people that have watched our show before know, we don't go shopping around. We don't sell anything up there. We're 100% dedicated to putting the show on. And it's a lot of work and a lot of expense. So with me being retired now, I like to at least try to break even. So what we've done is, this worked out very well for us last year. We got a little fundraiser. First of all, again, we're going to have probably about $9,000 in prizes we're going to give people just for watching the show. If you're in a chat room and Hambot calls your name, you're going to win a prize. It may be something like this: antenna analyzers, antenna tuners. We got a lot of things. But what we've done, we've set aside one prize only, and that's going to be the CAA 500. And what we're going to do is we're going to set this aside for people that want to help support the show. So if you donate $10, for every $10 you donate towards supporting the expense of the webcast, we're going to put your name in the bucket for the CAA 500 antenna CAA 500 Mark II. This is the new one. This is the one with the LCD readout, and let's see if I can. It'll plot the graph and everything, and it goes from 1.8 to 500 megahertz. This thing feels like a brick. It's about the size of a brick. It is solid. It is very solid. I bought me one this past week just because I wanted one. We're going to give one away on a show for NCG, our friend Mick Sternick, the president of the company, is going to donate a CA 500 Mark II, just like we did last year for Dayton. And I'm going to have him pull your name out of the hat at noon on Sunday. So any donations received between April 1st and 11:59 p.m. Saturday night of Hamvention, that will be, I think, the 20th. It's on the website. We're going to put your name in for every $10 you donate. Donate $30, you get 3 chances. And for you big spenders out there, donate $1,000. I'm going to put your name in here not 100 times, but 101 times. I'm going to give you an extra one. But this will help us recover some of the cost for our trip to Hamvention, and it's a great tool. I think anybody would love to have one. Again, I want to welcome all of our listeners on WBCQ. If you're listening to Amateur Radio Roundtable. I'm Tom Medlin, W5KUB. we'd like for you to join us on the internet. If you've got a computer, go to w5kub.com, and you can join us here and watch the video and check in our chat room. Please join us. Let's see what else is going on here. Okay, I've got another thing done, and I tell you, I'm really excited about our next person we're having on the show here. We're making an addition to the show and trying to bring some new things into the show, and I think you guys are going to be really impressed. So we'll be back here in just a minute, and we're going to have a new face on here. Spring forward. Get out and get mobile with Icom this spring. Base stations, mobile transceivers, handhelds, and more. Icom has all the equipment to help make your spring full of adventure. Communicate with the touch of your fingertips. Perfect for small places, the IC7100 base station is the ideal D-Star option to help those communicate anywhere. It has angled control head and touchscreen for quick, intuitive operation, a large internal speaker for clear digital audio, and is perfect for multi-band and all-mode communications. Travel outdoors and enjoy the spring air. Back for a limited time, the IC7200 is a great option for hams wanting a device to carry out into the field. It is simple and tough with IFDSP, digital noise reduction, and a USB port for PC control. Ideal for the ham on the go, try the IC7300. It's a high-performance, innovative ATF transceiver with a compact design. It has RF direct sampling, 15 discrete bandpass filters, a large 4.3 color touchscreen, real-time spectrum scope, and an SD memory card. Visit www.icomamerica.com/amateur for more information on Icom radios. Okay, and we're back, and I've got our secret guest on the show here. You guys don't see him yet, but I'm really excited about tonight in bringing in this special guest with us. And first, I also want to say hi to Katie. Katie has been out traveling a lot and not able to be on the show the last couple weeks. I think Katie might be back with us next week. I saw her in the chat room earlier. I hope my audio is okay. I see a report. Tom, audio is lower. All right, I'll check it there. So anyway, let's jump into the surprise for tonight. Let me see what I can get the right button clicked here. And there we go. And let's see, let me put the name down there. Okay, and who I want to introduce here, guys, this is Dave Casler, KE0OG. He's from Ridgeway, Colorado. And Dave is very well known for his YouTube channel, Ask Dave, and David, what's your channel? David Casler, I think is it. Yeah, we've got it on the lower third here. Dave does a tremendous amount of ham radio videos, and he's got all types of videos. He's got hundreds of videos. So I want you guys to go check his site out. He answers a lot of questions and explains a lot of things. So we're going to have Dave on the show here pretty regularly, if his schedule will allow. And we're going to bring him in here and see if he can bring some of his knowledge into the show and some new things into the show here. But he's got a lot of great videos for new hams. I think he's also got training material out there for techs and generals. And, you know, we've had Asked Riley on here, but now we got Dave here. We've got Ask Dave. So look, here's Dave. Dave, how you doing tonight, man?
I'm doing great. How are you doing?
Doing good. That probably wasn't a great introduction. I don't have a lot of information. Boy, when I go to your QRZ site, it's like not much there.
Yeah, I need to add some.
Well, I do know that you're an electrical engineer. I do know you've retired from IBM, and you served in the United States Air Force, and that's great because that was my branch. Thank you.
Well, great.
So,
well, I'm delighted to be here. This is my first time on the show, and I very carefully watched the preceding segment about the new ultra-low frequency bands and was quite fascinated. I was just about to email you and say, forget my segment, I want to watch more of his.
Well, we can't do that. We've got to bring you in tonight because you're going to be an important part of this webcast here. But we're going to have John back on again soon, and we'll see how things are going. The FCC is getting close to opening this thing up, and of course, right now you got to have an experimental license. You can get an experimental license if you fill the paperwork out at $65. But that's not that bad. I was going to do it yesterday, but I decided just to kind of wait. See how things go. Maybe listen a little bit on there. But hey, this might be something you might be interested in. You and I can set up 630 and talk to each other.
That'd be fun.
So you're in what is it,
Ridgeway.
Ridgeway. Now, did they leave an E out of that on purpose?
The town is named after a man, not a geographic feature. So the man did not have the E in there.
Is that right? Mm.
Yeah, so we fight a constant battle here trying to kill the E.
Okay, there's nobody trying to put it in?
Oh, yes, everybody tries to put it in.
Okay. Oh, wow. Well, look, hey, Dave, tell us how long you've been doing the videos and what got you started in that, man. And first of all, tell us a little about your ham radio background. When did you get your license, and what's a little history there?
I got my license in, I think, late 1974 at Brigham Young University. They had a very active ham club there with a wonderful station, Drake Twins, and a TH6 on the roof of the Student Union. It was a marvelous setup. And I got my novice there, and learning the code was all kinds of fun, but I did it. I managed to con a roommate into learning it well enough to send it so I could receive it. Then when I graduated, my graduation present from my folks was an old Heathkit HW16, which I learned to solder on that radio, and you could tell a big difference between the first joints and the last.
Oh, wow.
Anyway, I became WB6GBT when I got my, my novice license was WN7AIU. My general license, WB6GBT, I went to advanced and took KD6SH and moved to Colorado. And I thought, well, if I'm going to really live in Colorado, I ought to get a zero call. So I asked for a zero call and was dealt KE0OG. So it's technically an advanced call sign rather than extra. I worked with a group in the Boulder area that was teaching youth about ham radio. And I was working with these teens. I was one of the Elmers. I was with that group for 10 years. And early on, I was working with one teen who was particularly promising. And I said to myself, self, you're not going to let a teenager beat you to extra. So I buckled down and did the study. As far as the videos, they began about 6 years ago. I was one of those people that got a GoPro camera, stuck it on my helmet, and went riding all over the hills and putting the video up on YouTube. And I'd get, 50, 80 views, something like that. And I keep putting these videos up, hoping it would catch on. And then I put a video on something about ham radio, and that video got a whole bunch more views than the riding around in the hill country did. So I decided, well, if what people want is ham radio, I'll do that. So I started that. One of the first things that I did out here in western Colorado, we are very sparsely populated. There's very few people. I know for some of our friends on the East Coast, that's hard to imagine, but there are very few people on the western slope. So I thought, well, I can't really teach a ham radio class. I've taught a lot in the past. I'll just put some videos up to help people through the tech. And I don't know why, but they just took off. People really liked them. They liked the way I did them. So I said, okay, let's try general. Went through that and did a lot of work to improve my production techniques. My son does video for a living, so he kind of guided me. And so I did a set on the extra, which, by the way, I very recently updated to the latest book. And I think I'm the only person on the web that I can find who does videos that correspond exactly to the ARRL license manual, section for section, all the way through. And the point of the video is to introduce the section, then you go study the section, and hopefully my introduction helps it make sense, and then study your questions, and then cycle through on the next section, and so on. And those proved extremely popular. So I said, okay, I've done the extra, what do I do now? So I got a suggestion from a viewer that I do something called Ask Dave. People could write in with a question, and the way I approach it, my station or my channel is designed to be a safe place for newcomers. If anybody
you take dumb questions then, right?
I take dumb questions, and I maintain, as I always have, the only dumb question is the one that's not asked. Right. And if anybody puts a snarky comment up there, it's gone. I delete that. Yeah. I want this to be a safe place for newcomers.
Well, that's great. You know, and there are a lot of newcomers out there that kind of get pushed through some of these club recruitment things, and they don't even know what kind of radio they want when they get their license. And I think things like what you're doing really helps them understand, you know, what they can do out there with it. There's so many different things that we can do with ham radio.
Oh, there are. And, you know, I know there's a move afoot to define a new entry class into ham radio that would give new people some HF privileges, and I am behind that 100%. Because I think we take our techs, we teach them, we give them a license and hand them a handy-talkie, and that's the end of it right there. And there's so much more that can be done. And I remember when I was a novice, you know, after I left school and went home to Southern California, I had no Elmer. I had nobody to ask questions of. I had to figure out everything myself, and I made mistakes by the bushel load. And so I'm trying to put myself back in that position. You know, okay, I'm a newcomer, I'm a pretty bright guy, I know a lot of things, but this ham radio confuses me a little bit, so I got a question that I tried it at my ham club, and they told me it was a dumb question, and so they come to me, and I said, there's no such thing as a dumb question. So the Ask Dave videos, and I've just put one up tonight on using deoxit to deoxidize components and so on. A 56 Ask Dave videos up there, and they range everything from how to pick a transceiver for HF to antennas for difficult situations, and so on. And sometimes I found now that manufacturers are now sending me things saying, would you please look at this? And so I'll go on with a video and say, hey, I got this for free, okay, but let me tell you what I really think of it. And the response has been phenomenal. I now have 21,000 subscribers, and I'm just shy of 2 million views. So
wow,
that's
great.
What I've been doing.
That's great. Well, you know, your videos, and I've watched a lot of them, they really clear up and simplify a lot of things. And I want to show one of your, let's show one of your videos right now. I think we talked about showing the one about JPO and how JPO works. And you know, I've been a ham for decades and decades, and after watching your video, it really helped me to you know, understand more about the JPO and how it works. And you know, particularly the part about the impedance and how it looks like it's shorted out. I can remember back when I was 16 years old, and I'd see these antennas or military antennas that we might get in surplus, and they'd have this matching, this little what do you call it, bobby pin type match across it. You know, just it looked like a short, and I'm thinking, how in the world can an antenna work with a short across it like that? So your video is really good. I'm gonna put that video on. We're gonna play it, and then we'll talk a little about it. Okay?
Alrighty.
All right. So let's see now. You're not gonna hear any audio, Dave, but everybody else will. So let me see if I can find the video. Okay.
Got it.
So how does a J-pole work anyway? Got one here. What do all the different parts do? And doesn't it seem strange right here where these things are so close together? Doesn't that just short out the RF? Let's find out. Welcome to Ask Dave, episode 36. I'm Dave Casler, KE0OG, here with another episode of Ask Dave. I've been asked, how does the J-pole work anyway? It seems so long and unwieldy, and it's got this weird section right here, usually called a J because people look at it this way. And then the coax is attached way down here, right where it's just shorted a couple inches later. How does it work? Well, let's divide the J-pole into three parts. We'll take this part up here, and I'm going to put a piece of masking tape around it so we can recognize that this part over here is separate from this. And then I'm going to put another piece of masking tape right here to show that this part is separate. So let's start with the easy part, the part down here at the bottom. This is what you connect the antenna with. It has no electrical effect on the antenna. It's a nice thing to run a wire to ground, though, to bleed off the static charges that come from the wind. So we can ignore this part. Now let's go over to the top part, over here, right here. This is a 2-meter J-pole, and this piece right here is a half wavelength dipole, okay? It's a half of a wavelength. So we're on 2 meters, so this is on the order of a meter long. Well, now, don't we normally feed dipoles in the middle? We sure do, right about there. And the reason we feed them right about there is because if you break that and put one side on each on the coax, it's going to be about 50 ohm match. Be very nice. But that's not how we're doing it in this antenna. The problem with impedances is you go further away from the center, the impedance goes up and up and up, because although you can flow current in the middle, when you get to the end, there's no place for the current to go. So it turns out that the voltage goes up on either end, like this, and the current goes down, all the way down. And then the current goes down. So here's the deal. The impedance at the ends is theoretically infinite. Now, in actual practice, it's only several thousand ohms, okay? So when you end feed a dipole, you have a real problem because you're feeding it at its highest impedance point. Now we get to the magic part. Okay, if we look at just this part of the dipole, what do you see? Well, what I want you to see is two very thick wires. Okay, we're only interested in the skin effect, so they don't have to be very thick. It's just that there's two wires, and they are right next to each other, okay? And if you were to extend that in either direction, what you would have is essentially an open wire transmission line. Now, there's a formula for figuring out the characteristic impedance of transmission line that looks like this, and it turns out it's about a 500 ohm line. Well, that doesn't really matter because we're not using it for that. We're using a magic property of transmission lines, the quarter wavelength. Whatever the impedance is here, at the end of a quarter wavelength, it'll be the opposite. So if it's really low here, it'll be really high here. This only works on one design frequency, only on one band, 2 meters in this case, okay? So this piece of transmission line comes in at 0 ohms because it's shorted right here at the end, right? And it's, in theory, infinite at the other end. Look at that. Right there, it's infinite. Well, isn't that interesting? Because we need infinite or very high impedance to drive the end of a dipole. So this part is the antenna, and this part transforms 0 ohms to very, very high impedance and drives the very, very high impedance dipole here. Match made in heaven, so to speak. Now, where do we feed an antenna like that? Well, we've got this balanced transmission line, okay? And so the impedance is extremely high here, and it's 0 here. So the question is, where in the middle is 50 ohms. Well, I'll tell you where it is. It's only a little bit up from the end. Yeah, that's right. The impedance is 0 here. It's about 50 here. You know, you can go on up to 100, 200, 500, 800, 1,000, 10,000, 100,000 ohms, but it's really close to this end that it's 50 ohms. And so that's where we feed it, right there where the impedance is 50 ohms. Kind of funny, huh? So at RF, we're dealing with something that's a nice match, even though physically it looks like, good grief, it's shorted only right there. It's 50 ohms away because it goes up really high over here. Okay, very good, but there's a problem, you say. I just said that that was a balanced transmission line, and it is, okay? But we're feeding it with coax. Well, that's feeding a balanced line with an unbalanced coax. Is there a problem here? Yes, there is. Now, a lot of people just feed it direct with coax, but a nice thing that you can do is take some coax, about 10 feet or so, and just loop it up, kind of make a little roll like this, and then have that kind of hanging down right here, okay, right in this area, and then the coax coming up to here, and that little coil of coax acts as a choke balun. So on this end, it's a balanced feed, and then as the coax comes out the end, it's unbalanced and goes down to your transceiver. Now, when you go out to test this thing with your antenna analyzer, make sure you get it way up in the air, okay? And put your line and your little coil right here and run it down to where your meter is below you and get this thing up above your head and do the checking and tweaking then. So, you might have to move this up or down a little bit to get the right match. Tune it for the frequency you use the most, and it'll be pretty good on the rest of the band. There you have it. This is how antennas work. So I'm going to try out a new feature of YouTube here where they put end cards, and we'll see how they work. If they don't, please subscribe. I've got a link down below, or you can click right on the video to subscribe. Thank you, and we'll see you next time.
All right, boy, Dave, I tell you, I think that was excellent. It didn't.
Thank you.
It didn't tell a person how to build the antenna, but it sure talked about the theory and how it works. And I think a lot of people probably never thought about it.
Yeah, and I have to point out that, of course, the video simplifies a few things. If you were to really model that, the part that I said didn't have any effect on the antenna, the little mounting stub, actually does have a bit of an effect. And, you know, if you were to model the thing ad infinitum or something like that. But I've got immensely positive response on that. I've had 22,000 views so far, and it really hasn't been up that long. And a lot of comments, people go, oh, so that's what's going on. And I had a lot of fun with that particular video. It was one long take, which is unusual for me to do one long take. I usually edit several together, but I had a lot of fun with that.
Yeah, well, you're talking about that bottom piece basically being just the mast that holds it up, and the length. If you clamp that to another pipe, then of course that's going to make the length a lot longer. And I think,
Right.
like you said, it doesn't affect it a whole lot, but it probably does affect it some. And that makes me think about, I have built many of the J-poles just using the 600 ohm ladder line, where you short the bottom out and you go up about 1.5 inches, whatever it is, and you tap on right there to get the 50 ohms. And if you really think about that, that's the same thing. It's just a 600 ohm line, one side cut about a quarter wave, and then the other has that half wave on there you're talking about with no bottom on it. And it works the same way. But on each of these antennas, you're going to tune them a little bit. So if you don't put that bottom on there, I'm sure you could probably tune that 50 ohm point a little bit one way or the other, and it might improve it,
Yeah, I that particular antenna is one that I got back in those days when I was helping teach those kids. They'd make those and sell them at Hamfests to raise money for their little group. So I picked one up there. I think I can't even remember what I paid for it, $15. Copper was a lot cheaper then. And it's just worked really well for me ever since. So, in another video, I did build one of those little kits that just had the twin lead in there.
Yeah.
And it worked fine. I'm not going to say one antenna is better than another because this is one question I get a lot. What's the best antenna?
Oh, yeah.
And the answer is whatever you like the most.
Yeah, and whatever you might be able to put up. You always can't have what you want,
Yeah, I know. My antenna right now is ground-mounted multiband vertical, and after I added a bunch of radials to it and kind of rebuilt the antenna, it performs really well. I'm really happy with it.
Yeah, I'm seeing a lot of good comments in the chat room already. People want to subscribe to your channel. Let's see, Dave. Let's see. N1LXF. Al says your videos convinced him to order the BITX 40. So you got a big impact on people here. Back.
I should point out that the YouTube address you've got down there, it should be David Casler.
Oh man, I messed that up. I am so sorry.
YouTube has been doing weird things with links recently. It used to be Dave Casler worked. Now it's David Casler. So
well, I thought I tested it before I put it up there, but then again, I have trouble with it, But okay, David
they seem
Casler.
To change their minds every day.
They do. They change it every day, and it causes me some issues, even with this channel here, But back to this J-pole. I built several with the 600 ohm twin lead, and. And then I built some using the 300 ohm, just the simple 300 ohm TV twin lead, and they worked pretty good, and they would work on both 2 meters and 440. Now, the interesting thing about it is, and we put it in a piece of PVC pipe, and we put a cap on the end, and we made it look like a nice base antenna. And what people don't realize is you can take that twin lead, make a J-pole out, and have it just a perfect match. But when you slide that 300 ohm up in that pipe, it isn't perfect anymore,
Well, that's right, because the dielectric constant of air and the dielectric constant of the PVC pipe are different. So when you put that PVC pipe around it, it actually slows down the wave traveling through there. So your carefully tuned antenna isn't anymore.
But once we played with it, we experimented with it. Once we cut it the right lengths, then it checked bad. But then when we put it up in that pipe, it looked good.
Yeah.
And boy, we took a bunch of those up to Dayton. I think we saw 40 or 50 of them one year. And it was a neat little project. And like you say, that group there used them for fundraisers. That's a simple antenna to build, and it works great.
Yeah, I've had very good luck with mine, and I recommend starting with simple things. I tell people, the new tech, okay, fine, go get your handheld, but then put up an external antenna, an antenna on the roof, and it's going to dramatically improve your range without changing your radio. So, you try a handheld from inside the house, and you can't hit a repeater, and you're frustrated. And in fact, I have a video on how to deal with new ham frustration.
We may have to look at that one night. Hey, Mickey here, NY2MC says, you're the guy that taught him how to do JT65. He just wants to thank you.
Well, Mickey, you're very welcome. This is really why I do the YouTube channel. I make a little bit of money off of it, but not enough to live on. But the real reason I do it is because I feel like I'm being helpful. All the feedback I get says I'm helping people, and that's really important to me. I want to feel useful. I'm not just putting up videos to show my face. You know, I'm tired of looking at my face. I edit so much, and I'm tired of hearing the sound of my own voice. But when people write back and say, "Hey, this helped," that means a lot to me.
Oh yeah. Well, you know, Dave, I haven't really operated any digital type modes in many, many years. 30 years ago, I used 30, 40 years ago some Packet. I kind of got disappointed with it. It took 4 or 5 days for the message to go 200 miles. So I was a little disappointed in it back then. But you know, I'm getting interested now. There's so much going on with it now, and possibly I know you've got a video out there on FL Digi. I think that might be something I'm interested in trying to do. And what do you think about FL Digi?
I had always used HRD, DM780, but that costs money now. So what I tried to do with the video was find a free solution. And FL Digi does that.
Yeah, we might do that one night on here and make it a digital night and talk about FL Digi and maybe even some of the others there. Let's see.
I see somebody's starting to study for their extra, and I wish you very good luck in studying it. The extra's got all the really fun electronics in it.
Yeah, it does, and that's cool. And this guy's using your videos there. Tell us about your videos for the extras. Again, I think you mentioned it earlier, but so is that to be used kind of as a supplement with other study material, or do you have a whole course in there?
No, I don't do the whole course. It's made after the same philosophy as the others. You need to get the ARRL Extra Class License Manual, okay? And I just updated the videos so they match the book that was released last July 1st. So there's like 37, 40 videos, something in there. So for every section in the book, you can look at the video first, because I try to take it from the point of view of, you know, I'm approaching this, they're throwing this term at me, where did it come from, why is it there, why do I have to know it, how is it useful? And I try to answer these questions for people so that when they actually read the material, it makes sense. And then they can go study the questions and then go on to the next sectional video and repeat that process until they're through with it. And of course, you know, I take comments. They're all those videos are open for comments, and people ask questions, and I try hard to answer the questions. Kind of getting to the point right now where the channel is generating so many comments, I may not be able to keep up with them all, but now.
Well, tell me about this. Tell me about, we got Samantha in here, KE0IAA. I think she just recently upgraded this past month or so, and we've shown her pictures on our show here before. But she said it's fun to decode the Voice of America radiogram program with FL Digi. What's that about?
Well, you know, the digital modes that we use in ham radio are not unique to ham radio. They're used by other services and so on, and there's still modes kicking around for like WeatherFax and RTTY. There's still RTTY stuff out there. The datagrams might be put out in PSK 31. I got this faint bell somewhere back there ringing, but it may just be my ears ringing. I don't know. But yeah, you can tune around and find digital modes and then take a look at them on the waterfall and see if you can make sense of them. There's a mode that can be used on 2 meters that I know the emergency services people like, where you just hold the handheld to your cell phone and you can actually send messages back and forth that way. So
wow.
Yeah, there's a lot on, you know, HF broadcasters have kind of really cut back, but there's still other stuff there, and Voice of America still broadcasts.
Yeah, Bill, our friend WZ1L up in Massachusetts, he said WeFax, I guess is
Yeah.
one. WeFax, yeah. And we've got Mark on here. I tell you, he's making me kind of, I don't know, I'm jealous. Mark, he's watching our show right now on the big screen TV. I always like to see it. Hey, Mark, send us a picture. Take me a picture of you watching Dave right now. Take a picture of him on your big screen TV and send it to us. I want to post that on our website.
Yeah, I know. I'm just looking at the video quality here and going, it's a little bit like the old VHS tapes.
Well,
and I've got to come up with a better lighting situation here. It's too bright on me and too dark in the back. So
well, what I'm doing too, I'm bringing you in on Skype. I'm putting it through the encoder to send out, and I'm turning it around. I'm sending it back through Skype to you. So it's getting a long round trip on it. But I think the quality here is really good. Technology has really moved fast, and 2 years ago, 3, 4, 5 years ago, man, the quality of our webcasts were pretty bad, and you just couldn't do a whole lot better. But wow, it's just getting there fast. And I think the same thing is happening with ham radio. There's always new radios and things coming out. They're making them smaller and smaller, and boy, I tell you, I mean, and I almost have to get a magnifying glass on some of these. And they're so complicated now. Let me tell you, Dave, I don't know if you have a problem. I don't think you're a pretty tech guy. If I take a mobile rig and put it in a car or my truck, say I put it on 220, on our 220 repeater here, and program that thing, and that's basically the only channel I use it on. If I had an emergency, I would not know how to change the frequency on that radio and put it somewhere else. I mean, it's just too many options to go in there and try to think about, for me anyway.
Yeah, and I caution new hams against gadgetitis. They see that, well, they can get this plain old ordinary analog FM 2-band radio for $50 from one of the Chinese producers through PowerWorks or something like that. And then, there's 25 radios right behind it for only $10 more. You get this feature, you get this feature, you get this feature. And by the time they talk themselves into a $300 handheld.
Oh, wow.
And so I actually have put some of the videos together with suggested equipment. My dual band mobile rig that I have here in the shack is basically the bottom of Yaesu's line for 2-band handhelds. It has very few features, and I like that. You can just talk. You just talk on it. That's all it does, and that's all it needs to do.
Do you remember the Icom? I think it was IC2. That goes way back now.
Yes. I had Radio Shack's version of that, but it was the IC3.
Okay. Well, this was so simple. It had a thumb wheel on the top and a plus and a minus 600,
That's right.
Yeah.
And it worked great. They were great radios.
Yeah. Sam is saying, she is saying that Voice of America has a whole weekly news program done in digital modes. And look at here. Here she is, a relatively new ham, just upgraded here recently, last month. And she knows how to do all this stuff. It's neat to be able to share this information, because I'd like to learn some of this stuff before I get too old.
I think that's delightful, and I congratulate you, and I hope you keep going at the same velocity. There is so much to learn, and the cool thing about it, when you get up to this level, is that you start understanding how nature works. I've got an engineering background and a math background, and I'm just fascinated by the way nature works. And I'm one of those people who wants to know, okay, how do electromagnetic waves actually propagate? Things like that. And you have to be eternally curious.
Yeah. Wow. I'll tell you, it's a lot to do out there, Dave. I mean, TV, RTTY, packet, digital. There's just so much out there to do. I think most people don't realize how much this hobby, how diverse this hobby can be.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there is no one right way to be a ham.
Yeah.
You be yourself, and that's a good ham. And I occasionally run into people who say, "Well, hams have to know how to do this or that." No, they don't. No, that's not true.
Yeah.
And the word I use for it is best practices. People should follow amateur radio best practices. Best practices means what successful people do that works. And if we can emulate successful people in doing what they work, we're following best practices. It's similar in the concept of state of the art. But I am going to be the last person to say you have to do anything anyway, because there's too much diversity, too many cool things to do.
Well, there really are. Well, Dave, we're getting down just about to the time we need to move on to our very informal part of the show. See, our show's not over yet. We go just from our show to informal show. Boy, that could last hours. But we got a lot of people that like to get on there and join the show on Hangout. And I think you're a Hangout user. I believe you're a Hangout user, right, Dave?
Google Hangouts, yeah, I think.
Yeah. Well, anyway, let me see if I can get somebody to post our Hangout in the chat room. Let's see. It's up in the topic. So, Bill, if you're listening, if you guys will post the Hangout link in the chat room, that'll save me from trying to type it in over there. So we're going to, in just a second, we're going to go to our Hangout portion, and hopefully Papa Doc will be there, and maybe my pilot friend that flies the wide bodies will be there. We talk about everything. And you know, it's interesting, like, cause Walter, my pilot friend, for the first time a few weeks ago, he operated HF from his wide-bodied A300 at 30,000 feet. Never done that before. I kept kind of nudging him, try it, you know. So he did it. You know, he made a contact. So we'll talk about anything and everything on there. It's about 9:30 here. Let me just say, okay, and Bill posted the link there. Let me just say again, hello and good evening to all of our listeners out there on world famous international shortwave station WBCQ on 5130. We're glad to have you. And thanks to Lord Robert up there. Lord Robert, in just a minute or two, you can pull the plug on us. We normally pull the plug when we go to Hangout. And hey, let me just put a plug in here for WBCQ, guys. That's one of the only free speech radio stations in the U.S. now. And send them an email if you're interested in putting a show on. Tell them Tom sent you. Send an email up there to wbcq@wbcq.com, and for $25 an hour, Robert and Alan up there will put your show on shortwave where you can be heard around the world. So shoot them an email if you're interested, and you can send them a file up here if you want to do it that way, or there's a lot of different ways to get the audio up here. So thanks a lot. We're going to go to Hangout now. Dave, man, I'm so pleased to have you on here with us tonight and joining our show. And your videos are top quality, and you can see that from the comments that you got a lot of followers out there in our chat room. And you know, each week we'll try to do something a little different on here. We'll talk about different things and maybe pick out a video that can help people better understand certain topics. So, Dave, thanks again. And if you want to join us on Hangout, feel free to. The link is in.
Give it a try.
The link is in a chat room there, so I'm sure people are already going to it. So I'll be in there in just a minute, and Hangout will be broadcast over our broadcast here. Our show is recorded. People can watch our show anytime from this point forward. So, Dave, thanks again. Maybe we'll see you in Hangout. If not, I'll be talking to you this week, and we'll talk about next week's show.
Very good.
All right, 73.
73 to you, too.
All right, so let's go to Hangout here. Let's see if I can get into Hangout. Let's see. I got to click a couple buttons here. Close window. I got to quit Skype. to Hangout here. Oh, I hear my voice. Let's see if I can get into Hangout. Let's see. Got to click a couple buttons here. Close window. With Skype. Okay, so who's somebody's got their audio on it? Maybe that's Dave. He's a new time joiner here. But somebody did have our audio on, and it was the 30-second delay of the show. Oh, let's see if I can get it to hang out. That's Chuck. Okay, that's coming from Chuck. Chuck. Click a couple buttons here. Chuck, you've got to mute the audio on the show. Go to your player, the video player on the show, and mute the audio. Audio on it. Maybe that's Dave. He's a new time joiner here. But somebody did have our audio on, and it was the 30-second delay of the show. Oh boy. Okay, that's coming from Chuck. Chuck. We'll get this under control in a minute. Chuck, you've got to mute the audio on the show. Go to your player, the video player on the show, and mute the audio. This Dave is a new time joiner here. But somebody did have our audio on, and it was the 30-second delay of the show. Chuck, you need to mute the audio on the video player. You can't listen to the show while you're on Hangout. Let's see if Chuck can. That better? No, you've got to turn the audio off. Go to the webcast. Go to the webcast and mute the audio. Chuck, you need to mute the audio of the video player. You can't listen to the show while you're on Hangout. Let's see if Chuck can get that audio muted. Audio off. Go to the webcam.
That better?
Oh, yeah, you got it. You fixed it, man. You did good, Chuck. You did good. Hey,
not bad for an IT guy, right?
Oh, man. Hey, where are you, Chuck? Where are you located?
I'm in Trenton, Maine. We've talked before.
Okay. And what's your call?
Alpha Charlie 1 Bravo Sierra.
Oh, okay. Okay, yeah, okay. Very good. Well, cool, man. I guess you watched the show tonight, right?
I got most of it, yeah.
Okay. Well, did you see the part there with Dave in there? Dave's on here with us. He made it to a hangout here.
Yeah, I watched it. I've been in Dave's YouTube before, searching around.
Well, cool. It seems like everybody's been to Dave's YouTube channel. That's cool, man.
I put a picture of my air cannon on your Facebook page, so you can cross that.
Okay, I saw the post. I'll take a look at it. Now, did you? What do? You just put compressed air in it?
Yeah, I hook it up with the compressor, but
yeah,
I got to take it out in the backyard and pump it full to see if it's going to blow up.
Well, I've got a video operating in North Carolina at our home over there where I demoed a air cannon antenna launcher that we built, and boy, it really shoots that line over some really tall trees, and we don't put much air in it. I use a little automotive compressor, and we'll put maybe 30 pounds, 40 pounds in it, and it'll shoot several hundred feet high.
This is only a prototype. This is only a prototype. It's huge, but the other one was too small. So somewhere I got to come in the middle.
Well, I'm sure it will do good for you.
If I don't blow it up anyway.
Yeah. Well, don't put too much pressure in it.
I put about 50 pounds in it, and it seemed to do all right, but there's still some tweaking. I got to get the weight right, so come down the other side without catching on stuff.
Well, let's ask Dave. Dave, you ever had any experience with any of the pneumatic cannons or potato guns?
When I was in the Philippines many years ago, they used to have a they're on their New Year's, they would blow off firecrackers and stuff like that, and they would get these potato cannons, and they'd put a little bit of gasoline down in the bottom of the long bamboo thing where, all the intermediate things have been
scary.
Put a little gasoline in there, blow on it, put a potato in it, and then light the top of it. And I tell you what, it could propel that potato for a long ways.
You know what?
Oh yes, it could.
we all started out with hairspray and WD-40. I mean, I think we need to try gasoline one night on the show here.
I don't think you need to do that, Tom.
Well, is Doc on here tonight? Where's Doc?
Well, I don't think he needs to be here to tell.
Well, we're gonna wait. We'll wait till Doc joins us before we try that.
Well, he's going to tell you not to try it.
Oh man. Oh well, hey Bill. I heard Bill chime in here. WZ1L. Bill, you been to the Philippines?
Oh yes, I have many times.
All right. Well, what were you doing down there?
Riding a boat.
A boat. Now, you don't want your commanding officer to think let him know you called it a boat, do you?
Well, let's see. The first time I went in there was 1970. I flew from Travis Air Force Base to Clark, and then took this bus down the hill with no guardrails. It scared the Jesus out of me, I'm telling you.
Oh man. Hey, we've already got people in the chat room wanting dibs on my radio equipment.
Oh wow. You selling it again, huh?
No, I guess they think we're going to blow the potato gun up.
Yeah, I mentioned that gasoline thing is something I observed. I most certainly do not recommend it.
No, I don't recommend that either.
Thank you very much for saying that.
Oh, man.
Not a smart thing to use, gasoline. Even the WD-40. I mean, if you short little squirts in the potato cannon, but gasoline, not too smart.
Oh man!
Oh, yeah.
You know, this last one I built, I just put a little valve. What do you call a valve? The tire valve?
Schrader.
Schrader. I put a little Schrader valve on there, and just take a little 12-volt, car compressor, and we'll put about 20-30 pounds in there, and it shoots fine, man. And
we're really, up over that tree, Tom. I'm telling you.
It will. Yeah. Hey, we made a blooper. My friend was, in fact, on our website or on our YouTube, you'll see the blooper. I think I was demonstrating the air cannon, and we had the little thing in here, and I said, "Okay, everybody, watch this." And I hit the thing, and it goes about 6 feet out and falls right in front of me.
One thing they do around here every year that's interesting are the pumpkin. They call it pumpkin chucking.
Oh yeah.
And a lot of people really go all out on this. It's all done with compressed air, and the good ones can get over 2,000 feet.
Oh yeah. I thought you talking about.
How much air are you putting behind that thing?
They're the limit in the competition is 100 psi, and so these guys have got all sorts of things. I mean, some of these I've seen the barrels are like 30 feet long, and they feed the air to it as the pumpkin goes down the thing, so that they can really the pumpkins come out there just below the speed of sound. They're about 900 feet per second. If they hit the speed of sound, of course, the pumpkin goes everywhere. But I've watched them launch those things, and it becomes a dot on the horizon. It's just amazing.
With only 100 psi of compressed air.
Wow.
Well, they don't just
how much
the 100 psi at the end. They feed it in stages from huge tanks.
Well, it's got to be a lot of the volume is what counts.
Yes. Yeah. So it's a great deal of air, and it stays at 100 psi all the way until that pumpkin goes out the end.
Wow.
And it is something to behold. They do this every year here, and
I heard some
it's fun to be there.
Doing that. That should be pretty good for a little bit better picture tonight, I think, maybe.
All right, so let's Mark.
There it is.
What are you talking about, Mark? Picture on what? The webcast or
Yeah, the
hangout?
webcast. I took a picture and I sent it to your email already.
Oh, did you? Okay.
Yeah, I sent Tom at your call sign.
Okay. Are you KC8FQV?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll check it and get it later. Thanks. I'm still looking for that picture on the big screen. I want that picture of Dave on the big screen.
That was the one.
Oh, was it? Did you do it? Okay, cool. Let me see if I can find it right.
Tom, I texted you a picture also.
Let me see if I can pull it up and get it on here while y'all talk. Go ahead.
All right.
And you sent it to my email?
Yeah, your email, your Tom at KW5KB.
Okay.
Hey, Bill, how you doing? Oh, Bill's got his microphone muted.
I'm doing good. I just got in, so I caught a little bit of the show on the way home.
Very
Oh,
good.
he's spending money. He is when you do that and let you have Wi-Fi.
All right, let's look and see what we got here. Let me look. Let me see. There we go. Look at that. Now, Mark, you put your own picture in there on top of Dave. Ah, man. And,
That's me watching him.
And you got it when I had the lower third off. Gee, I had the lower third on there the whole time, and you did it with the lower third off. You got to take another picture next week.
I will. But that me sitting there in front of the big TV watching.
Oh, that's cool.
Very cool. Very cool. Do it again next week.
Yeah, we will. We'll get, practice, and we work and keep getting it better.
Well, I want you to take a couple because, one might be blurry. You just
All
take a bunch of them to get me a good one. I want a nice picture.
Right?
I want a nice picture on a big screen. Make sure the lower third's down there with his name and everything.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Mark, you're going to be in
take care. I'm packing it in. I got to go to work in the morning.
Okay, Chuck.
Thank you for everything. 7-3.
Yeah, glad to have you on, Chuck. Thanks.
Good night.
You take care.
I'm going to follow you shortly.
Did you hear the rain report last Friday? They really were talking about Dayton or green zinnia.
What were they saying?
Half Holly did.
When you say the rain report, you're
Oh,
talking about half Holly, not the weather, right?
Right, half Holly.
Yeah, okay.
And he interviewed them.
Oh, cool. Yeah. We've had them on here a number of times. We'll probably have them on maybe 2 more times before Hamfest there.
Yeah, well, don't jinx. Don't talk about the rain in Xenia yet. I mean, we're still a little ways away, many weeks away.
44 days.
44 days. There you go.
Well,
so
I tell you, we were, we always had a booth outside for 33 years, and we'd always start watching that weather about a month before, man. And of course, you can't get the weather a month away, but we were sure trying to guess it.
Not to change anything.
Now let's see.
Remember
We've got.
when it was in April there, Tom? I mean, we
Oh, yeah.
even had snow up there. God Almighty.
Yeah, they did good to move it from April to May. Back 30 years ago, it was in April, and man, let me tell you, when I would pack, I'd carry shorts, I'd carry long pants, I'd carry long underwear, I'd carry parka jackets, rain jackets. We'd carry so many clothes that we didn't have room to carry any radios, just about. And it would snow on us, and no telling what it would do up here. But I tell you, even in May, you could always count on this to happen on the same weekend. You'd probably get sunburned, you'd probably get rained on, you'd probably get sunburned. All in the same weekend, man. You get snowed on and sunburned.
No problem.
So let's see. We got Jeff there. He's going to make it. He's coming. Bill's making it.
Light dusting this weekend.
Yeah, Bill's making it. Bill number 1's making it. Bill number 2 out in Montana. Is that right? Montana?
Wait. Which one are you talking
Wyoming?
about?
Wyoming?
I'm number 1.
Wyoming. You're 2 now. You lost. Okay. You're Bill 2 now. Where are you?
Yeah.
We're gonna be your neighbor, man.
I know it. You're gonna be in a booth right next to me.
Yeah. Well, across the entryway.
That's true. There hallway kind of door in between us. But
I
that's
think there's a
cool.
little man door out the side where you're at, maybe. I think it was. I seen.
Yeah.
Well,
So
Mark,
Tom's on
are
the
you
right
going?
side of that entrance, and we're on the left side of the entrance.
Yeah.
Mark, will you be there?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah. I'll be there.
Yeah, he's
Don't
gonna be.
mess with
He's
what?
gonna be. He's gonna be in a booth right next to us.
Oh, he's asking the other guy.
Oh, I'm sorry. Asking who?
Mark,
Mark.
FQB one?
will you be in Dayton?
Yeah, I'm planning to. I've been going down there for I don't know how many years now.
Very
Yeah.
good. All right, we'll have to catch up. We'll have to meet up.
All right. And I know Bill number one's going. Did we lose Dave a while ago? Did Dave drop off?
Yeah.
Yeah, we got 4 up there now.
Yeah, he's gone.
There's just 4 of us up there now.
I guess Dave. Well, I hope we didn't hurt his feelings, man.
I went to.
He said he had to go to work.
Oh, did
Yeah,
he?
he was going to pack in for that. He was going to go to work. He said, or one of them was.
Well, I think Dave's retired. What do you mean
No,
go
I
to
thought
work?
that was AB1CS.
Oh,
The guy in
Yeah,
Maine.
yeah.
I'm confused.
All right. Let's see.
I know I have
Say
to.
hello to Tom.
Let's
Tom's
see.
in there.
Who's in there?
Tom.
Tom.
Well, I mean, excuse me, Mike. It's,
I was looking to see if I was in there.
Mike.
I didn't think I was in there. Let's see.
He was checking to see if he would make sure he was in there.
Yeah, where the heck is Tom?
You talking about me?
Yeah, we don't see you on the bottom of the screen. All we do is I can see you.
No, you see
you're
his video.
Well,
you're on the video.
Well, when
Okay.
let's see. Right now, well, I'm in a picture-in-picture, right? I mean,
Yeah.
Yeah, you're in picture, Tom.
Yeah.
Now you're not.
Yeah.
Now you
You
are.
can just make out his red shirt there on the little thumbnail.
Yeah, Don, he's not
He
been
keeps
down
on
in the
moving
phone.
around.
well, here. Is this better right here?
Absolutely.
You like that picture better? Well,
Yeah.
see, but if I put that on, people out on the,
Yeah, we can see the snow.
people on the webcast can't see you guys. So if I that's the reason I went to a small picture.
I got N3 KAT here in the shack.
Oh, okay. Well, let's see.
I guess he's rearranging the paperwork, I guess. I guess he's going to file some papers now.
Indeed, he's going to rearrange everything. There they go. Well,
Well, tell me about that cat. Do you shave that thing, or does it grow like that?
no, this is not the shade. This this is not the hairless cat.
Oh, it
This
looked
is
kind of.
This is a blue point Siamese.
Oh,
the,
okay.
The hairless cat, the Sphinx,
Yeah.
is not in the shack right now.
Well, how does that happen, man? Does that happen naturally?
Yeah, it's just an actually, I guess, a DNA type thing. I don't know,
Oh, gee.
but it's a breed. That the hairless is a breed. I don't think he's around. I don't see him. And this is my best buddy.
Yeah.
He likes to play radio. I say, "You want to play radio?" and he runs up into the shack.
Well, we need to find those people that worked on that DNA for that cat. Maybe they can put some DNA back in for my hair. If they can take hair away, they can probably put it back in.
Right. Well, I would like the same thing. My hair's getting thin. It's
Yeah.
all about getting old, right, Tom?
Yep.
All right, but you know what? I'm going to take off. I've got to get up and go to work early in the morning. But nice to see you, and we'll talk on the emails.
Okay. Cool.
All right, buddy.
Good night.
7-3, guys.
All right. We'll see you.
All right.
All right. Well, boys, I think the show went okay tonight. I think Dave's going to be a good addition to the show and bring a lot of new things in. He's really got some good videos out there that help people.
I'll have to go check them out. KE0OG.
OG.
Yeah, okay.
Mm-hmm. Or go to David Casler, YouTube /David Casler, CASLER. Well, let's see. It looks like my spy, Mark P, up in Xenia, is on here again tonight. He's on here every night with us. Mark, you got any new reconnaissance from the fairgrounds you want to tell us about? Mark, have you checked out the building yet where I'm going to be? Can I mount an antenna outside the building? Is there anything to hang it on right there outside that door?
Wait a minute, he's gone.
Who, Mark P?
Yeah, he's got he put his mic off and he's away.
No. I'm talking about Mark P in the chat room.
Yeah, well, I'm looking at Mark P here.
Different Mark.
Oh, different Mark?
That's not Mark P here, is it? On here, we don't have a Mark P in here, I don't think.
Well, who's that? KC8 something.
I don't know. So let me ask you, Bill One. You know, we were talking about the MFJ 45th anniversary. Are you really thinking about coming down this way and going to it?
I certainly am.
That's a long ways to come down just for a free meal.
Hey, I want to say hello to Martin again.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm going to see him in May, and he told me that anytime I want to come down and take a look-see there at anything he's got hiding in the back lot there, he said that he'd give me a tour. So I mean, you know, hey, I'm going to take him up on his offer.
All right. Hey, you know, you go down here and you'll get a tour of all the facilities. You know, all the different companies, whether it be Meritron or Cushcraft or MFJ or Vectronics.
Are they all right in the same compound there?
No, they're in different. They're in about 3 or 4 different buildings, maybe a couple blocks apart. Some of them are combined, but there's about 3 or 4 about 3 buildings.
Nice.
You know, High Gain. I think High Gain and I don't know. It's been a few years since I've been down here, but the nice thing about it, you go down to MFJ, you can walk in off the street and you can say, Martin, I want a tour, and he'll take one of his people and they'll take you on a tour of every facility. They'll just drop what they're doing. But I'll tell you, that chicken was good a few years ago.
Well, that's the main reason I'm going. 12-2. I got to be there.
It was good, man. I got some pictures here of the food last time, and it was all right. It was a little cool out there. I remember being cold out there, and this was September, I think.
Yeah, this is what is it? September 29th and 30th, I think, is what. That poster said there that I sent you.
My spy up in Dayton. He's telling me the scuttlebutt. The scuttlebutt is they won't be able to park on the soccer fields. I think those grass fields where they were originally planning to park a lot of people. I do know now that all the schools are being let out on that day, and they're going to use schools for parking. So that rumor may be true, that may not have as much public parking there on the grass as they originally intended to, but we'll find that out here in a few weeks.
Have they given you a price yet for internet?
Well, let's just say I'm heavy in negotiations, and I've got it worked out where I'm going to have internet wherever I need it. So
yeah, nice.
So you know, I think we'll be okay. Now
I'll have to buy one of those pods at Walmart just to make sure.
All it has to do is work. You know, all it has to do is work. You know.
Yeah.
And
I know they've been pretty hush on.
Man, I mean, you know, it's getting really late in the game for people that want to order it. They still don't have a price up or anything for anybody.
No.
And they're putting. You know, I mean, they're in the 6 figures of what they're spending to put in that networking gear there.
Yeah.
And man, we're 5 weeks away. People need to start ordering that. I'm told we're okay, so I'm not going to worry about it. It'll be there.
Well, we'll just have to run a wire across the floor over to you.
Well, they may have a spy looking, but I think I got something I might be able to take care of you. I think we'll be able to do something.
Being a little neighborly, huh?
we'll be able to do something here, man.
Yeah, good. Yeah, we'll figure it out one way or the other.
may have to bring you over across the. May have to bring you across that pathway there with on a light beam. Just hope nobody walks through it, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, just hitch up a router.
Yeah. A little
Also
infrared
needs
array.
a little router there, and he's all set.
Yeah. I mean, that's easy. But let me tell you, I don't want to get thrown out.
Oh
We
yeah.
won't tell him.
Well, that's true.
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh.
Oh
Hi,
man,
Ron.
Ron made it. Hello, Ron.
Hello. You hearing me okay?
Yes, we hear you
Yeah, we
fine.
get a little echo from it.
A little echo. Okay. I'm not sure which microphone I'm on. I'm either on this one.
Yep.
Or,
I think it's
or
it.
I'm on this one.
Nope, you're on the ear.
Okay, I'm on the headset.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
It kind of sounded like you're talking through the ear.
Talking through my ear?
Yeah.
Probably have the volume up so loud it's coming
That
through.
could be.
All right. Well, you're in here a little late tonight. Did you make any of the show?
Yeah, I watched some of the show.
Okay.
I ended up on the phone with some customers, so
Okay, cool.
work ended up,
Cool.
taking up a lot of it.
Cool. Well,
I
here
think
while
I
I've got you in here. Let's see. While I got you in here, there we go.
Oh yeah, that looks good. That's still looking good after how many years?
I don't know. When it gets dirty,
Hey,
I might have you make me another one if this gets too dirty.
I got to show Ron my hat. That's the one he made for me at the
Yeah.
at
Let's see.
Hartford.
Well, he's not seen it. Hang on.
Oh
He's
yeah, I
not seen
remember
it.
that.
There you go.
That lady behind the counter said that 50 mission hat that you have is not good to be wearing at this place. She says, buy a new one.
Oh yeah, well, her name is Amy. She's WB9URU, and her mission is to beautify the ham world one head at a time. So if she sees you
I
walking
got the
past
old one,
booth,
I'm telling you.
Oh
if she
man.
sees you walking past the booth wearing some old ratty hat with stick-on letters,
Stick
she's
on
gonna
letters.
grab-
Oh yeah. That's cool.
She's gonna
I'll
grab
have
it
to
off
tell
your
Pete
head.
Bartley about that.
So Ron, what building you gonna be in, Ron?
We're in Building 6, which is the tent.
That's the tent.
That
Yeah.
was
Okay.
not my first choice, or my second, third, fourth, fifth, or 18th.
Well, let me
But-
tell you, it might still be good because we're in building 5. There's only 30, I think there's 35 booths in 5, and if people get 2 and 3 booths, that's going to be what, 25 vendors in there. You might see a lot out there in those tents.
Yeah, well, the only thing we can do is wait and see. One thing I did find, I did email the Hamvention Committee and ask them whether the tents have a raised floor or whether we're right on the asphalt of that parking lot. And they told me that we're right on the asphalt of the parking lot, which then tells me that I'm going to have to bring some pallets or some slats or some plastic tubs or whatever to keep cardboard boxes of merchandise off the ground.
Yeah.
Because if it rains, that water's going to come
Well, it
in
could.
the bottom of the tent and just flow along the ground inside the tent looking for the storm drains. So,
Well,
I can't guarantee that the pavement inside the tent wouldn't be wet if...
Well, let me tell you what we did. We used to be next to the Crazies. That's old Bill there on the end. He's, Bill. They would always bring these Harley Davidson motorcycle pallets out, and they'd put them a floor in. So we were next to them for many years. So we got a few pallets from them, and we put our own floor in. And then, of course, that's about a 6-inch high pallet. And then we actually just made us some simple ones. We got some 4x8 sheets of plywood and put little 2x2 strips on the bottom of them, and we just laid that on the asphalt out there. And then that water, of course, like you say, if that water runs across the parking lot, it basically went under, it went under your floor. And we did that outside a lot.
Yeah, and I'm sure that's what we'll be doing. I mean, there's no big deal about it. It's just, one of the things we're going to have to do that I hadn't figured on doing, but it is what it is.
Yeah, and you're right. You do want to keep stuff up off the ground in case it does get wet out there. Well, guys, it's 10 o'clock. I'm thinking about getting me a peanut butter sandwich and watching some TV. I think we had a great show tonight. I'm very happy with the way it went, and we'll think I'm going to get out of here in a minute. So,
Cool.
So let's see who's left. We get now. Mike hadn't said nothing the whole night, and I can't leave until Mike says something. Yeah, Mike. Mike's not talking. Turn your mic on, Mike. Mike, your mic, Mike. His mic's broke again. He's just like Jeff used to be. He must have got equipment from Jeff. He left. I guess he's gonna call back in. So bill number 2. You're with.
Yes, sir.
You're going to be in a booth down there with. I never heard of this people. Bonita or something. What is that? What is that?
Yeah, they're not really on the list.
Oh, they're not.
Oh, you can hear me, I suppose, huh?
Yeah, we hear you now.
I didn't even check that earlier.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Hey, hang on, Bill. Hang on. I'm in the middle of Bonita. What's the deal with Bonita?
So apparently they decided to back out of that particular booth.
Okay.
And they're not coming to the Hamvention. So, but because of, I guess Russ has been trying to get that spot due to Cheryl's wheelchair. I don't think he took it off, so made sure that nobody would reserve that booth.
Okay. So Russ, basically, Linux is going to take that whole booth or share it with somebody? Okay.
Yeah, that is our booth. Yeah. That's
okay.
Linux and the
All right. It's still showing up on the PC board list. I think.
Yeah. They were just waiting for our payment, which is I think went out today or tomorrow.
Okay, I got you. Yeah, we had our ad put on there today.
Yeah, I think once they got our money, then they'll put us on there.
Yeah. Yeah. Let's see. Okay, Mike. All right, Mike. You need to say something before I get out of here.
Well, howdy.
Howdy.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to start checking. The first time I log in, everything my mic doesn't work. I gotta go refresh, come back, and then it works. I'm not sure why. So I was just listening anyway tonight, so I didn't notice my mic wasn't working. So
yeah.
There's nothing special to say tonight. No. Other than our snow is all gone up here on my ice.
Our ski hill's still getting snow, but we don't have any snow here.
Yeah, our ski hill makes it, so they've got some, yeah.
Oh. No, they're getting fresh powder every day. It's kind of crazy.
Matter of fact, our local repeater, 2 meter UHF, I was on a cell tower, Verizon, at the top of that ski hill here.
Yeah, ours
in winter time, and I can't drive up. I actually jump on a chairlift right to the top, walk over to the building, check on the repeaters, and then ride the chairlift back down.
That's hilarious.
Tonight, I did mention our fundraiser deal. Did I hold? Yeah, I guess I held the CAA up. I didn't put the picture up, but we got our CAA 500 now. That a lot of people liked it last year. They were all interested in it, and it's a cool antenna analyzer. Like I said, donate $1,000. I'll put your name in a hat 101 times.
They'll all donate something, but I don't know it ain't gonna be $1,000.
For $1,000, you can almost be 80% sure that you'll win this $450 antenna analyzer. I would set the odds at about 80%. That's pretty good odds.
Not mine though.
Yeah, that's not bad at all.
Yeah.
I think for $1,000 you can just go buy one yourself.
You could buy 2 of them. Yeah.
Seems a bit excessive.
I need to sell my other one. I just bought this one last week. I wanted the new model, and of course I've got I've got the old model. Let me see, that I bought a couple of years ago. Let me see if I can put it on here. Yeah, there's the new ones. They made a little change. Here's the old one right here. So they look pretty close, except the new one has the LCD readout in it.
Oh yeah.
And it's pretty cool. It'll plot an LCD, a graph and everything.
Well, I have the good
old. You have an old one, so you'll have to win that one of those.
Well,
I just have the old 259B. And I had this thing forever.
Well, now which one's that? The old 259?
Yeah, the 259B.
Okay, let's see. Here's the 269B, and here's a 259.
Yeah.
Yeah, I hardly ever. I need to sell about 3 of these. I don't use them anymore.
Yeah, I use mine up this way. I'll do one.
It's the most valuable tool that you can have for your ham shack.
Yeah. Yep. Well, like John was saying tonight, if I want to get on 630 meters, I might want to convert or make a mod to one of these that I can use to do my measurements. Not sure what that would entail.
Yeah.
All right, so guys, look, 5006, that's us right there in bill number 2. They're going to be in 5007. We've got a little walkway between us right there.
Then Bob has the rest of the building, right?
He's got the top 4, right top 4.
Oh, okay. Yeah, there you go.
See, there's not many spaces in that building.
Yeah, it'll be a small, cozy room.
Yeah. Now, the nice thing about being at the door right there, the building next door has a bathroom in it.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I think it's got 1 toilet in it. But if nobody's in there, you're close.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't think it'll be great. We're really looking forward to it.
Yep.
Alrighty, well, we'll let you go. You have a great week, and I'll probably catch you in the chat room here during the week. Do you need anything? All
right. Mark P is asking if I am giving away the old one or the new one. No, I'm going to actually be giving away a new one, the CAA 500 Mark II. It's the new one. I just bought me one so I could show it to you guys, but I'm not giving mine away. We're going to give away another of the latest model, the Mark II, and it's cool.
Yeah. Alrighty, good night.
All right, we'll see you. I'm out of here. Good night, folks.
Okay, I suppose they can do the same thing here too.
All right, Ron. We'll see you next week, Ron. And
Mark. All right, we'll see you next week.
Yeah, y'all stay in here and talk if you want to. I just got to go get me a peanut butter sandwich, and I got to go edit the YouTube video and take the music off. Pre-show music.
Yeah, I got to do something about the lighting in here. It is just way too bright.
I know the feeling.
It is kind of reflecting off. It is kind of reflecting off your head there.
Yeah, I know. I kind of got this like ghost white look here. It's
that's okay.
Not very flattering. I need to just do something about the lighting.
Yeah. Oh, I like that. I like that. All right, guys. We'll see you. I like that hat there. We'll see you, Mike. All right. Thanks everybody for tuning in tonight. Kurt, WA2JSG, thanks for watching again. He's a regular. He's in there every week almost. The snow is gone. Let's see. Anybody else got anything going? Okay, I don't think there's anything else in the chat room I missed. So we're going to go ahead and get out of here, and we will talk to you guys later.
So you're saying I can ask this cat any question?
The cat is connected to the computer. You just type in the question, it will read his mind. There the answer comes.
You're the man! been looking for this for weeks.